Hi, welcome to MediatorPodcast.com, a podcast and video series about mediation, negotiation, and collaboration. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide online valuation, divorce, and mediation services based out of St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we will discuss independent legal advice and divorce mediation with Lauren Hunt. Lauren is an attorney mediator in New York who focuses on family issues, including divorce, custody, child support, and adoption. When somebody is kind of anticipating the divorce process, they have a lot of questions. And so I've had, one spouse will contact me for divorce purposes. They're like, oh, I want to bring cash, and what should I do next? How, at what point do I need to tell my other spouse? And a lot of that really isn't financial advice. It's like, do I have enough money to survive? Yes. Okay. Next step is like, what do I do? And at that point, I really need somebody from a legal perspective to give some idea of what does somebody do at that point.
And, that's such a hard question in a sense because it's really individualized to that parent or that person's situation. But I have the same thing. People come to me and they say, my spouse doesn't know that I'm here. But I'm really at the point where I at least need to get a sense as to like, what are we really talking about? What's potentially going to befall me if I head down this road?
Mm-hmm.
Which getting up the gumption just to even have that conversation, I think is amazing. And I think has to be, gold star there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the next step really is you've got to talk to your spouse. And that can happen in a couple of different forms. My suggestions are always, if you're already in couples counseling, which quite frankly, a lot of the times people, if they're heading down the road to divorce or they're considering it, they may have already enlisted the help of a couples counselor. So if you're already in couples counseling, that could be something that you discuss with your counselor. Maybe you have the ability to have like a one-on-one with that person, with your counselor, and then the counselor can bring it up, or you bring it up in a session. So that's kind of option one. If that's not available to you, then there's really kind of two other options. The other option would be that you sit down with your spouse and tell them directly, or that you hire an attorney. If you're not going the mediation route, then you hire an attorney and have that attorney send them a very kind letter saying, I've been hired by your spouse who wants to pursue an amicable divorce. Would you be interested in mediation? Or would you contact your own attorney and have that attorney contact me? I think some of the difficulty comes when people want to pursue mediation, right? They want to get the independent legal advice. So they found an attorney to kind of make that black hole of divorce to make it a little less scary, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got a little information, but they know that they want to pursue mediation. You can't, it's not a mediator's role to then reach out to the other spouse, right? So in that situation, if you're looking to pursue a mediator or to pursue mediation, it really tends to be your options tend to be you're either telling them in couples counseling or you're having a direct discussion with them.
Mm-hmm.
And 90% of the time, the other spouse had a sense that was kind of coming down the pike. There are certainly instances where people are completely, caught off guard.
Right.
But most of the time, your spouse was either already thinking it, that they were interested in that conversation as well, or they assumed that this was something that was already kind of in the works.
Mm-hmm.
So to some extent, if you think about it from that side, it makes it a little less scary to have that type of conversation.
Yeah. Well, and I think that a lot of times people are just confused at what to do, right? They have the perception of what they see on TV, which is divorce court, people fighting and things like that, which isn't necessarily what it is, but there is a lot of that, so they'll even come to me and say, okay, I had a good friend that was like, okay, how do I go to the courthouse and file for my divorce? And I'm like, I don't know, I have always worked with professionals, and I think there is a path, but you have no legal advice, right? So you could say, I'll give whatever to my spouse. And is the court really going to approve that situation? And things like that.